The 7 deadly sins, here they are: lust, gluttony, greed, sloth, wrath, envy, and pride. It's really interesting that there's not a list in the Bible where all 7 are mentioned in the same list. That list was originally developed by the Desert Fathers in about the 3rd century. So let's break it down. The 7 deadly sins: lust, uncontrollable passion or desire, particularly uncontrollable sexual passion and desire. And wow, we see that playing out dominantly in the American landscape. A proliferation of pornography and incredible sexual confusion. Gluttony, excessive consumption or overindulgence in food or wine. Paul talks about a group of people whose God is their stomach. Now, I live in the deep South, and that could describe a lot of us. Greed. In other lists, it appears as avarice or covetousness. It's an excessive pursuit of material possessions, wealth, gain, to the point of neglecting the things that really matter the most. Sloth. Sloth is basically the failure to do the things we know we ought to do, the things we should do. It's like this: instead of going and applying for that job, it's playing endless hours of Minecraft or vegging out on binge watching Netflix reruns of Full House or what have you. Next on the 7, wrath, anger. Uncontrollable anger and hatreds towards another person. It's when we refuse to love and we opt for hate. And we see this in regards to people who hate entire ethnic groups just for the reason of some hurt in their past. Envy, the intense desire to have what belongs to someone else, whether it's their house, their car, their status, their abilities, their physical attributes, their situation in life, even having their spouse. I want to look like Tom Cruise, but I don't go to crazy lengths, especially lengths that would reflect themselves in some kind of harm towards Cruise to get there. Last on the list, but top in regards to the big ones, is pride. It's an excessive view of oneself, an excessive belief in your own abilities without regard to other people, and especially without regard to the grace and goodness of God. This is the original sin. It's the sin that got Lucifer kicked out of heaven. It's the sin that causes me sometimes to want to play God. Now, it's really interesting, when the church came up with this list of 7 deadly sins, they fought that list with 7 virtues. I think the Bible answer to the 7 deadly sins is the freedom produced by love. But the fruit produced by the Holy Spirit within you is love in all its varied expressions. Joy that overflows, peace that subdues, patience that endures, kindness in action, a life full of virtue, faith that prevails, gentleness of heart, and strength of spirit. With that, we can overcome the deadly 7 sins.